As of when I'm writing this, June 29th, we had our last look at Xenoblade Chronicles 3 in the June 22nd direct presentation, and in it, we got a deeper look into the world of Ionis, along with a more in-depth detailing of the gameplay, of course, but what stood out most to me, as I'm sure it did for a lot of other people, was the fact that we'll be getting an expansion pass for the game, much like how we did for Xenoblade Chronicles 2. And like XE2, the expansion pass will be put out in waves over the course of a year and a half until the end of 2023, or perhaps over a slightly shorter period, as that's just an ETA for the moment. The expansion pass will include stuff you probably would expect from this type of thing, such as new costumes, new characters, new quests, and so on and so forth. However, in Way Forward in DLC, we'll be getting a brand new story scenario, as the description puts it, and it kind of goes without saying that this is potentially huge. If you recall, Torna, the Golden Country, was a part of the XE2's expansion pass, which was a prequel story scenario that linked into the events of XE2, detailing the events 500 years prior to the main game's story, and even went on to get its own physical release. So that should tell you what you need to know about the Torna expansion. And having said that, you can now probably understand why the prospect of another new story expansion is exciting. I mean, even a remake of the original Xenoblade Chronicles, Definitive Edition, came with a new story scenario in Future Connected, so in a way, I guess it was inevitable, but even so. Now, as for the XE3 story scenario, it's pretty safe to say that this will truly tie together all three of the games in the mainline series. Sorry, XEX, I love you, but you're part of your own canon, so... Well, as I was saying, we can safely assume this to be the case, thanks to the image that's attached to the expansion pass, which you can see on screen now. If you don't quite know what you're looking at, on the left is the Monado, or rather the variation from Future Connected, aka the focal point of the story in XE1. On the right is the Aegis sword, Pyro's version of it anyway, aka the focal point by extension of XE2's story, and in the middle is the weapon Noel will be wielding in XE3, which we can assume will play a major part in the story of XE3 as well. You might be thinking I'm jumping the gun quite a bit by speculating about the DLC story scenario before the actual game itself is even out, but that's where I'm about to throw a spanner into the works. I mean, assuming you've read the title, you know where I'm going with all of this, but nevertheless, should the new story scenario be the thing to wrap up loose ends within the story of XE3 and or give further context to the events, that's where this theory comes in. It's no secret that the two primary antagonists in XE3 are a mysterious high-end tier woman and a mysterious gore-mutty girl. I guess we'll see. But straight to the point, these characters are obviously Melia and Nia from the original Xenoblade Chronicles and Xenoblade Chronicles 2 respectively, so, spoilers I guess, but if you're watching this then I'm sure you're already well familiar with the series. But as for these two, I only want to address one of them today, the leader of Aegis, Nia. I'm dreading to see what led Nia to this point, being a character I just fell in love with in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but I imagine that's the point somewhat of XE3, to absolutely emotionally destroy long-time fans, but that's not the subject here today, rather her position as leader of Aegis. Being a leader of an entire nation, we can assume that Nia is a pretty dangerous individual, even on her own. So it's here I ask, what if she's actually the current, speaking story canon, driver of the Aegis? To some this may seem like an out of nowhere question, but I have the backing. See, at the end of XE2, actually spoilers for XE2's endings here, so skip it if you want to avoid them right now, I'll give you a few seconds. But as I was saying, in the final cutscene of the game, because of the Architect's final gift, when Nimbasa sacrificed herself to destroy the world tree to prevent it from collapsing on top of all the rest, she was able to return to her core crystal and forget her past, something only the Aegis wasn't able to do, with other blades having, as she would put herself sometimes, the liberty of being able to forget. And even though the Aegis had only recently returned to her core crystal, it starts glowing again quickly and Rex is able to resonate with her again. And even though it's a happy reunion, after Rex thought she just, died, she's without her memories, so it's a bittersweet reunion. Trust me, the Forgotten Memories version of this ending is an interpretation. It's not officially canon, but it's the interpretation that I'm choosing to go with here. Anyway, though we have nothing further to go on for this, given the Aegis can now return to her core crystal, we can assume she follows the same rules as any other blade, that being, when their driver dies, they will return to their crystal ready to resonate with a new driver. Using this logic, and the fact that XE3 takes place years in the future, long after the death of the main cast, excluding Melia and Nia of course, we can start connecting the dots here. It's no secret that Nia was in love with Rex in XE2, I mean, you'll see the cutscene we all have, so taking into account where XE3 apparently lies in canon, as well as Nia's new role in the story, looking to be a stark contrast to her character in XE2, putting two and two together, we can maybe assume that Nia's gone off the deep end after everyone died and, well, with Rex being one of them, and considering what Rex left behind, this is all but speculation on my part, of course, but picture this for a second. Keyleth has pushed through Agnes' last line of defense, and Nia's running out of options. Pushed to the brink, she sends everything Agnes has left. There is nothing more than a stalling fodder. She looks down at her hand, opening her clutched palm to reveal what but Aegis' core crystal. And this is where we get her first piece of voice dialogue. Rex, I hope you'll forgive me for this. And there you have it. The Aegis would be Nia's last resort, an emotionally weighted last resort at that. Alright, I know that's fanfiction level stuff, but honestly, it'd be such an oh shit kind of moment. I would add an extra layer of emotional damage because, yes, I want these games to emotionally destroy me. As masochistic as that sounds. Anywho, this was just a bit of fun, and hey, it gave me another opportunity to talk about this series I love so much, so it's a win-win really.